All right, so are you ready to really get to know Elon Musk?
I am.
Okay, great. Um, I'm excited about this one because, we're going way beyond those viral tweets and the SpaceX launches and digging into what makes him tick.
Yeah, totally.
So we've got this really cool article. It's called Who is Elon Musk? And it goes into all this stuff about his childhood, early entrepreneurial ventures.
And even like some of his, more eccentric moments.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely fun.
So yeah, I'm really hoping we can find some of those aha moments, where
Right,
you
yeah.
learn something new and you're like, oh, wow, I see him differently now.
Yeah, like that changes your whole understanding.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
it's not just about Elon Musk, the person, right? It's
Yeah.
also about what his story says about innovation, ambition in general.
Yeah. And maybe even like, what's the price of success today?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's rewind all the way back to his childhood because things were not easy for him.
Yeah, I mean, reading about it, it's pretty intense.
Yeah, so get this. He straight up said that his father, who was a South African engineer, was a terrible human being.
Wow.
And that he had a terrible upbringing because of him.
I mean, to say that about your own dad,
Yeah.
that's got to leave a mark, right?
Right. And you have to wonder how that shaped him.
Like, did it make him, even more driven to succeed,
No.
to kind of prove everyone wrong?
Could be. And then on top of that, he was bullied really badly at school.
Yeah, like severely.
He even talked about being chased by gangs, constantly fearing for his safety.
It's like he kind of found refuge in technology.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He learned programming super young, like 10 years old.
Yeah.
And he actually sold the code for his first video game.
What?
Yeah, it was called Blastar for $500. I mean, come on, the entrepreneurial spirit was there
10 years old.
early on.
That's amazing.
And then he tried to open a video game arcade near his school, but
Oh, I read about that.
yeah, but his parents,
Smart parent.
right, they shut that one down.
Yeah, understandable.
It's interesting though, right? Because it shows that even back then, he had this drive to create, to build things, to kind of do his own thing.
Totally. So after high school, he moved to Canada and eventually ended up at the University of Pennsylvania.
UPenn.
Yeah, and get this, he majored in both physics and economics.
Double major, talk about a well-rounded guy.
Right. And you can see how that multidisciplinary background really plays into his whole approach,
For sure, like the physics, super analytical, breaking down complex problems.
Well, it's first principles thinking, right?
Exactly.
And then the economics, understanding markets, business.
Super powerful combo.
It really is. Okay, so now we're in the mid-90s, internet boom, right? What does young Elon Musk do? He starts his first company.
24 years old.
Yeah, Zip2.
Zip2, basically it was web software for newspapers to make online city guides.
Right. And can you imagine pitching that back then?
Oh my gosh, when newspapers were barely online.
He was so ahead of the curve, it's incredible. But then his really big break comes with X.com.
I was wondering when you were going to get to that. X.com.
Yeah, that name is going to come up again and again, so remember it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so X.com, online financial services.
Right, which eventually becomes
PayPal.
That's right. It merged with another company, formed PayPal. And even though Musk was ousted as CEO before it got sold to eBay, he still made a ton of money.
Like a touchstone.
Oh, yeah. Life-changing money.
Something like $180 million.
Ow.
But here's the crazy part. He didn't just retire on a beach somewhere.
Right, most people would.
He poured all of it,
Yeah.
all of it, into his next ventures.
That's risk tolerant.
Oh, huge risk. So we're talking SpaceX, Tesla, and Solar City.
And those were big gambles back then, let's be honest.
Oh, absolutely. He was even borrowing money for rent at one point. Can you believe that?
It's like he had this vision, and he was willing to bet everything on it.
And look at them now, right? I mean, Tesla, SpaceX, revolutionizing industries.
It's not just about making money for him. It's like he wants to change the world.
Yeah, it's about making an impact.
Exactly. And it all started with that PayPal money, as he called it.
Okay, so we've got his childhood, his education, the early companies, and now things are about to get really wild because we're entering the Twitter era. Or should I say the X era?
Oh, yes, the saga of Twitter.
Yeah, it all starts in 2022, seemingly harmless. Musk buys a 9.2% stake in the company.
Just a little investment.
Just a little, what
Boom.
little did we know, right?
Things were about to explode.
Yeah, it's like watching a business drama unfold in real time.
In real time, on Twitter itself.
Oh, yeah, on the platform itself. Okay, so first, he's offered a seat on the board, accepts it,
Sounds like a good move.
and then just days later turns it down.
What?
Why?
I know. It was like, okay, what's he up to?
What's going on?
What's going on? And then comes the bear hug letter.
Bear hug.
Yeah, it's like, it's this aggressive tactic, right? And he basically offers to buy the whole company.
Of the whole thing. For $54.20 a share.
Wow, I remember that. Everyone was freaking out.
Oh, yeah, it was huge news. But the Twitter board wasn't just gonna, say yes.
Of course not.
They fought back with this thing called a poison pill.
A poison pill? What is that?
Basically, imagine it like a defense mechanism
Right.
against a hostile takeover, right? And it makes it way more expensive for someone to, buy a controlling stake. So it's like, try this, Elon, see if you like it.
Yeah, like a deterrent.
But, Musk...
He doesn't give up easily.
No, not at all. He scrambles, gets billions in financing, and then there's this whole legal battle.
Lawsuits, accusations. It was messy.
Fake accounts, you name it.
Oh, yeah, all that stuff about bots.
It was crazy. But in the end,
He won.
late 2022, the deal goes through.
I still can't believe it sometimes.
It's wild. And I think that whole thing really shows you something about Musk, right?
What's that?
He's relentless. He gets an idea in his head and he will not let it go.
Tenacious, for sure.
Yeah, some might say stubborn.
True.
But you got to admire that dedication,
Yeah, absolutely. So he buys Twitter, changes the name to X,
X.
starts shaking things up.
Oh, yeah. And that brings us to another interesting side of him.
You mean like the weed smoking?
Yeah, remember that whole thing on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Oh, yeah. How could I forget? That was classic.
Smoking weed, talking about colonizing Mars. It's
Not your typical CEO, that's for sure.
right. And it's almost like he enjoys provoking people,
Pushing buttons.
a little bit. And then there's the infamous funding secured tweet about
Yeah.
taking Tesla private.
Got in a lot of trouble.
Big time.
Yeah.
SEC fines, the whole thing.
I think he even called the SEC bastards.
Oh, yeah, during a TED Talk.
Bold move.
Right. But again, it's all part of his persona, right? He doesn't play by the rules.
Challenges norms, does his own thing.
Exactly. And speaking of challenging norms,
Yeah.
do you remember when he hosted SNL,
SNL?
Saturday Night Live?
Oh, yeah.
He reveals he has Asperger's.
On live TV.
Live TV, he even joked that his communication style, makes for great comedy.
It's interesting, right? Because you think about how that might actually be a key part of his whole approach to innovation.
Yeah, thinking differently, seeing things others don't.
Makes sense.
Right. So we've got this guy who's, building rockets, wants to go to Mars, shakes up the tech world.
And doesn't care what people think.
Pretty much. But there's more, right? I mean, he's also got the boring company Neuralink.
Oh, yeah, those are fascinating.
Those often get overshadowed, by Tesla, SpaceX.
Right.
But they're just as ambitious.
I mean, digging tunnels to solve traffic, come on, that's straight out of sci-fi.
And then Neuralink, brain-machine interfaces, it's kind of freaky.
A little bit.
But the potential is huge, right?
Absolutely. Like revolutionizing how we interact with tech, treating neurological disorders, even enhancing our abilities. It's mind-blowing.
Totally. And the thing is, he's not just some, distant CEO in these companies.
Right. He's hands-on.
Super hands-on, involved in the engineering, the design, the whole process.
A true innovator, not just a businessman.
Exactly. And that brings us to, the work culture at his companies.
Yes, the stories.
Right, because there have been a lot of stories.
Intense pressure, long hours.
Yeah, pushing people to the limit.
To get things done, to meet deadlines.
To meet impossible deadlines, right. And it makes you wonder.
About the toll it takes.
Yeah, the toll on everyone, including him.
It's got to be exhausting.
Right. Is that kind of intensity even sustainable?
That's the question, isn't it? I mean, you've got these companies changing the world, pushing boundaries, but what about the human cost?
Yeah, it's complex.
Super complex. No easy answers.
Yeah, it's are we celebrating these advancements but kind of ignoring the people who are making them happen?
Right. So is it all worth it?
Exactly. And, even with all the success, he's had his fair share of, setbacks, criticisms.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody's perfect, right?
No, not even Elon Musk, right. So we've got Tesla production delays.
SpaceX launch failures.
Social media controversies, all of it.
And let's not forget about his personal life.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other
Yeah, it's a whole other thing.
chapter. Multiple marriages, divorces.
That'd be a family.
That unique sense of humor.
It's almost like his personal life is as unpredictable as his company's.
Totally. So it all adds up to this really complex picture.
It does, yeah. It's hard to separate the man from the myth, the genius from the showman.
Right. And it's kind of like, where do you even begin to answer the question? Is he a hero, a villain, or somewhere in between?
I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah, I don't think there's an easy answer, right? He wants to solve big problems, but his methods, they can be,
Unconventional,
yeah, let's just say unconventional.
to say the least.
Yeah.
He's definitely polarizing, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. People either seem to love him
Or hate him.
or hate him.
Yeah. There's not a lot of in between.
There's not a lot of middle ground, but I think that's often the case, right? When you have someone who's really disrupting things, pushing boundaries.
Yeah, it forces us to re-examine our own beliefs, you know?
Absolutely. So, big question then. Do you think his ambition, all of this, is it ultimately good or bad for the world?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. It is. Because on one hand, he's tackling these huge issues, renewable energy, space exploration.
Pushing for advancements that could benefit everyone.
Right. But then there's the other side, right? What about the downsides?
Well, yeah, you have to think about things like, the environmental impact, the
Yeah.
potential for jobs being lost to automation,
Yeah.
and also just like the concentration of so much power in the hands of just a few people like him.
Those are valid points.
Those are things we have to consider, yeah.
So it's not all, just progress and innovation. There's
There's more to it.
more to it, yeah. It's a balancing act.
It is a balancing act, yeah. We need people like Musk to push things forward,
To push the boundaries.
but we also have to be aware of the potential consequences.
Make sure everyone benefits, not just a select few.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. And it's a conversation we need to keep having, especially as technology keeps advancing so quickly.
Absolutely. It's like a tightrope walk between progress and responsibility, right?
It really is.
Hmm.
And figures like Elon Musk, they're going to be at the center of it all,
Whether we like it or not.
whether we like it or not, yeah. So, wow, this has been
Yeah.
quite a journey.
Yeah, I feel like I have a much better understanding of him now.
Me too, me
Yeah.
too. It's amazing how much complexity there is there.
Right. It's like on the surface, he's just another tech billionaire, but there's so much more to it.
Exactly, exactly. That's what makes these deep dives so great.
Right. You go beyond the headlines, you get into the nuances.
And we have these, these thoughtful conversations about important stuff.
Yeah. And sometimes those conversations are about eccentric billionaires who want to colonize Mars.
Sometimes. So to everyone listening, here's what I want you to take away from this. Don't just accept what you hear about Elon Musk, whether it's good or bad. Go deeper. Look at different perspectives.
Form your own opinion.
Exactly. Because it's your world, too.
It's such a great point.
Yeah.
It's easy to just go along with whatever narrative we're given.
It is, but we have to think for ourselves.
We do.
Yeah.
And the thing is, his story's not over yet, right? Who knows what he'll do next?
That's the exciting part.
It really is. I guess we're all just along for the ride.
We are. We're witnessing history in the making.
So thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Elon Musk.
I hope you found it as fascinating as we did.
It's been a wild ride.
It has. And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.
All right, see you next time.